Well, they just haven't got the ball in the forward half. The Western Bulldogs, only 24 forward 50 entries, which is unbelievably low.
Way down, isn't it?
Yep.
They've already got their money's worth, the crowd. They're sticking around for the encore. Takeaway is important. Boyd gets another one to half forward, over the back, and Schofield collected that nicely. Adam Selwood bumped on the kick. Pritis takes the mark. Even their disposals are more crisp and precise than they were this time last year, the West Coast. Marston got it from EMBLEY, kicks it long. Kennedy, he's been the gun. 8 goals for him so far. Lynch working out at full forward. Markovic got a hand to it. Morris back to him. He's not a big kick lover, Lucas Markovic. Dives back in, wanted to give it off to a delivery man, and he'll have to have a kick now.
And boys, during that three-quarter time huddle, I just stayed around the Western Bulldogs group, and Dale Morris, quite animated, just asked his midfielders just to man up, stop the blood flow coming through. 7-goal quarter for West Coast in that third quarter.
Eastonwood, and again the kick is not good. The delivery to half forward, in fact, that was horrendous. Butler, another player having a great season, just 5 games and no goals last year, and every game this year for Sam Butler.
Could elect to go across the other side of the ground here, and they, as we've seen all day, the West Coast Eagles really run and spread hard, so they'll push numbers out to the far wing to try to find a spare player to run forward.
4 goals so far for Luke Shuey this afternoon. He has been dominant. He shorts it. Scott Selwood, half-back. And they're just playing with them right now.
That was one
Schofield.
Small win, Jono, for the Bulldogs. They pushed across and stopped the run of the West Coast Eagles. Only a very minor win, but certainly stopped the run.
Shuey to Kennedy.
And you mentioned Shuey there. I think Heppel's probably, you mentioned the rising star before, Dwayne. Heppel from Essendon's probably the only other one that looks close to him at the minute.
Glass, turn cross inside out, pops it. EMBLEY plays on, outside of the foot. Majestic from the West Coast Eagles.
Well, slowed them up.
Oh, slowed them up. I was trying to grab a positive for you, Jono.
No, that's fine. We're certainly trying to grab at anything at the moment, but you look at that, even their skipper is showing a bit of magic there in Darren Glass with a nice little turn, nice little chip over to EMBLEY, who was able to finish. And EMBLEY's come back in the side. He's at 28 and kicked a couple of goals, and he certainly worked very hard again today.
One of the best players in the comp, never to be All-Australian, Andrew EMBLEY. You've got to say he's on All-Australian pace right now, having an outstanding year, arguably his best at the age of 29. That's high.
You'd think Jacko and his team down there. Jacko been on the All-Australian panel. He's got him in.
Oh, he's in.
Yep.
We've got a meeting in a couple of weeks too.
Yeah, you'll be right.
Will he get a mention?
Definitely. And a few more, I reckon.
Lynch. He turns him inside out, rolls it towards goal. Just across the face.
Well, there'll be a big push for the West Coast Eagles, boys.
Who else you got in your sights, Jacko?
Oh, a couple more.
Kennedy. 8 goals
Cox.
today.
I'll let her disclose any information.
All your mates.
That's right. Maybe Lacroix. He spins around and he gets on the board. That's his first.
Well, after this, it's just going to be for Jacko and his team. Who do they leave out? Because they all look like All-Australian players at the moment. They're playing very well. Really disappointing for the West Coast Eagles and the Western Bulldogs. They've been pushed off the ball far too easy, and I just can't believe the space that the Eagles players have. And at these sort of stoppages or congested play, how often that the crumbing forwards for the West Coast Eagles are in space and have that opportunity to turn around with a few seconds and snap a goal.
Rodney Eade, what do you do from here? 71 points the margin. This is no ordinary loss.
Yeah, this is actually getting quite embarrassing now.
Cox, and he is playing like a 21-year-old. To EMBLEY, likewise. Rosa thought about going backwards and takes on the tackler Moles. Shorts it, Marston. And again, got one-on-ones to pick from. Lynch will do it, doesn't get to him. Morris picked it off. Short, Gian Siracusa. Over the top to Cross. The 1-2 works nicely. No one to go to, though. In the middle of 3 West Coast players was Jones. Was never going to be his unless he marked it. Ebert just waxing possessions. McGinnity, Ebert, that was untidy the first time. Sherman tries to break free. Pokes it over the top, but getting back glass. He was in the forward pocket moments ago. Scott Selwood.
We've got 17 players in the back half, the West Coast Eagles. The difference between the two teams, though, Western Bulldogs do similar, but that's a good mark. But the Eagles players run harder forward to find space.
Boyd plays on, kicks long. Gian Syracuse of the target. Glass gets back, can't complete the mark. Slaps it to Adam Selwood. He just dropped, hoping for the high tackle, and Will Minson provided. It's been a big credibility check for the Western Bulldogs today. Wide ball. Embley, Cox. Huge dent in their believability right now, the Dogs. West Coast Eagles growing with each passing minute. Adam Selwood. Embley.
Oh, Kennedy's got 50.
So Kennedy can get and go if he wants to. He's got Lynch working hard. Kicks pretty good. Murphy gets back. Splendid spoil, but he goes to ground. Darling's lurking in the goal square. Lynch hits him, and he holds up.
Well, this has got the... looks like it's going to turn out to be a... could blow out to a 100-point loss, the way things are looking for the Western Bulldogs.
But again, we see on the spread, work rate, we've got the three big forwards in space. Kennedy found space. He was by himself 50 metres. Then it was over to Lynch, and then Darling ends up at the top of the goal square by himself.
And as great as it is to have old players back in form, good young kids add the spark to a team, and Jack Darling has done just that.
Well, Lynchy, you're spot on. It's the big fellas that have been the difference today for West Coast. They're big forwards. All of them have certainly had an impact at different parts of this game, led by Josh Kennedy. And he was involved in that passage of play as well, pushing up to the wing. And that's the flexibility that they certainly got at the moment, is the fact that the three bigs, Lynch, Darling, and Kennedy, can change their positioning, which certainly helps their forward momentum.
Jack Darling, one of the young stars into the competition. Went fairly low on the draft for what we're seeing out on the ground at the moment. Very talented player.
But he's proof that tanking is certainly a worthwhile cause. I mean, they took him with a priority pick for finishing last with 4 wins last year. They got picked 26 in the draft. Had they won an extra game, the West Coast, they wouldn't have Jack Darling. So it was well worth not winning the extra game. Smith.
But from the way everyone talks, he may have got through anyway.
Yeah.
Because he was touted as a top tenner.
That's true, but I mean, what I'm saying in essence is you just never know what gold you're going to get with a pick around the 26 area. You've got to have the pick before you can actually get the gold. And the recruiter is in some ways more important than the coach to a club.
That's a very important job, but we just saw up on the screen contested possessions, and the Western Bulldogs are getting smashed. The West Coast Eagles 157 to 108, and that's a belt in anyone's language. And that facet of the game, the Eagles haven't lost this season. So they've been very strong at the contested possession factor of the game. So it's a credit to them. They've changed a lot of things in the last 6 or 9 months.
Cox to Rosa to Lynch. Too strong. Gives it off to Darling. He's got Lacroix. Lacroix's running hard. Chased by Williams. Perfect pass. Lacroix crawls in. It's a clinic.
Well, that's amazing. Once again, work rate. It's all about work rate and the skills of young Jack Darling.
And clean. Work rate and being clean.
They are. They've certainly been very clean. But this is a good contest. Strong body. Lynch over to Jack Darling. Now, this is a fantastic kick over 55 metres or 50 metres straight out in front of his teammate and just waltzes in for a very nice, easy goal. Lacroix has got 2 goals for the day. That's good, strong body.
And this time it was Lynch and Darling up the ground a bit for them. That's the flexibility that they've had all day, but also all year.
And last year, if we didn't see Lacroix kicking goals, West Coast had no chance.
That's right.
The Eagles chant rings around Patterson Stadium. They can smell some more blood. They're not done with yet. Griffin floats one to half forward. Hearn dragged down by Ward. Prentice comes in and lends a hand. Adam Selwood just in time. Marston. And they're not letting the Bulldogs get a breath right now. Slick hands. Rosa hugs the boundary line. Lead comes from Darling. Central kick. Darling almost got it. Thumped away. Lurking Lynch. Might get the snap away. The big man misses.
Fitness levels, Lynchy, are outstanding from West Coast. They are still running on top of the ground late in this game. It's been a taxing game of footy.
Psychologically, it's been very taxing for the Bulldogs as well, but it's amazing how much space the Bulldogs are allowing the West Coast Eagles, their direct opponents, to get away from them.
Minson, Liberatore, short, hoping for Jones and Schofield. Yeah, good afternoon, Will Schofield. Just picking them off.
And boys, Mark Lacroix, 25 possessions, 2 goals. His best game's coming back from that injury, and he's worked mainly up in the midfield, but good game for him to get back into form.
Yeah. To half forward, Cross gets back in the hole, takes the mark. Short to the midfield, Jones turned his back. Schofield picks it off again, gives to Hearn, who can bang a long ball. Short to Lacroix. This is for 3 for the quarter.
And you look across the two sides at the minute, the Bulldogs have got about 7 or 8 guys that have had less than 10 possessions. West Coast have only got 2. So the even contribution from them has been good. Nikoski's been off for a half, so he would have been over that. And Glass, well, he doesn't get more than 10
He's
too
not
often.
allowed to touch it.
No.
Right now they're on track for their biggest ever victory over the Dogs here at Subiaco/Patterson Stadium. Lacroix, the sharpshooter. 90 points, the margin.
Well, I'm not sure what the Western Bulldogs can do about this. We heard at three-quarter time there was talk in the midfield to go man on man, but they're down on confidence. They're absolutely reactive. They're too scared to run and spread when they do gain possession because they're turning the ball over far too much. And West Coast Eagles are just confident, predictable, and their skills are just spot on at the moment. No one looks like missing. 90 points, an embarrassing loss.
Mentioned it will be their biggest win, the way they're going against the Bulldogs here at Subiaco. The biggest win ever, margin-wise, against the Dogs is 118 points. That was at the Wacker. And 25 goals, the most they've ever kicked against the Western Bulldogs. And right now they've got 21 goals. So they could beat that as well. They're still running hard, Prentice. And the ball rolls out of play. Halfway through this final term, they have been inspiring. Every time it's been their turn, each West Coast Eagles player has gone. Cox, Hudson, Kerr, who was sparkling early. Rosa, short, Lynch.
Nat Nui deep.
And he goes for Nat Nui, who gets caught behind a little. Markovic drops it and drops to the ground. Nat Nui pounced. He's like a cat. Got up, couldn't hunt it down. Morris kicked, smothered. Speaking about every player going, EMBLEY gave away a free for in danger there, but what a splendid effort.
Great effort from Andrew EMBLEY.
The replay, the great smother.
And that's what you want from your your senior players, just that leadership for the younger players coming through. Just fantastic season Andrew EMBLEY's having.
Yeah, their preparedness to go at this stage of the game as well is magnificent. Cox.
That'll be a free kick as well against Hudson. That's number 3, I think. Oh, no, he's not going to play it.
Well, Cox thought it was his. Ben Hudson has had a tough job. 32 years of age. Ben Hudson, although not drafted until he was 24, so not necessarily old by football game numbers. He gives that away, even with his experience. It's Cox's ball. That might be the evener upper from the 1:10 seconds ago.
And a little bit of frustration as well, I think, in this ruck contest.
He just gets put out of position, doesn't he?
And just grabs the
head.
Left ear. Kennedy back on. I'm sure he would have been a little frustrated to be off on the pine with 8-3.
Well, he could break the record here at Subiaco, Josh Kennedy, which right now stands at 10 goals. Scotty Cummings has that record. Cox has already kicked 2, and he misses. So Josh Kennedy, after a rest, comes back on, and he's got just under 10 minutes to crack double figures.
Jono, how legitimate are the West Coast Eagles this season? We talk about it's a massive jump going from wooden spooners to playing in finals, but are they possibly a top 6 team, do you think? Top 4 team?
Definitely a top 6 team, and they will push for top 4, there's no doubt, with the way they're going. And everyone expects them to drop off and just, you know, fluctuate the second half of the year, but you just can't see that happening, especially playing a number of games here at home still to come.
That's right. Here's Kennedy.
Hurd to Embley. He goes long. Kennedy in a one-on-one. He's up. And a good spoil from Morris. In fact, your Brisbane Lions were the last ones to go from wooden spooners to win the 8.
98. We were awful. we weren't good. There was just around the club at the time wasn't good at all, but then had a very good year up into 3rd spot in 99.
Yeah, that's a big turnaround. Kerr. And it would be astounding if the West Coast Eagles were able to make it to 3rd, a prelim final. Marston back. Kennedy. Manhandles.
Oh, holding against.
Gives away a free. Stuck on 8. The crowd boo.
He just got pushed out of position. That good strong body from Morris just to push Kennedy under the ball.
I think he needs to come up the ground a little bit, get Dale Morris off him, and that'll give him a chance then to maybe push for 9 or 10 goals.
Just squat in the goal square, put a deck chair there and sit down and wait.
2 cheapies over the top.
That's right. Hargrave pumps it away. Off the hand, Minson, Marston. And here they go. Rosa backtracks. Worsfold did the same to Mark Lacroix the day that he kicked 12, the night that he kicked 12. Gave him some bench time in the last quarter. Lynch.
Oh, good reach.
And Lacroix did come back on in that game fresh and was able to kick the 12. So maybe Kennedy can find another couple in this last 8 minutes. I'm sure if he gets to 9, you can be guaranteed the boys will look for him for 10.
Quentin Lynch looked like he'd run under that one. It was a good stretch in the end. And good hands in front of Gilby.
First time we've seen the glove come off today.
Yes, first deliberate shot at goal. And he sprays it. Hasn't kicked a goal today. The big Q.
He spent most of his time up outside the 50-metre arc and worked hard, and just really an effective part of a very good, potent forward 4 or 5. Now, Quentin Lynch has had the 20 disposals, only the 2 points for the day, but been very good.
Jones, good grab. As astounding as it's been that they've conceded 21 goals, the Dogs, just to find 8 themselves is amazing. Nat Nui. Selwood heads it wide. Darling crashes and collects. Ward played for the free. Got it up. Stack. Handball. Cross. Moles came on as the sub. Hasn't really had an impact. Mind you, I think it was too late by the time he came on. This game was cooked.
Boys, you're talking about the improvement of the Eagles, whether they can make the 8 or so forth. But, you know, talking about Shuey, Embley, Kerr, Cox, Darling, they've been the names that everyone's been speaking about. But Matt Rosa, he's been the most improved player for the West Coast Eagles this year, in my opinion. He's had another 27 touches today. He's been very good.
Yeah, and he'll finally play Matt Rosa as Lynch takes the mark. His 100th game in a few weeks in his 7th season. Kennedy! Okay, for number 9.
I wonder if there's a couple of little extra skips in this one as the nerves build for number 9.
Freedom of mind.
There's no doubt that the big Q saw that it was Kennedy leading at him, because Cox was in the goal square in a pretty good matchup one-on-one.
4 goals in the opening term, 2 goals in the second term, 2 goals in the third. Kennedy.
Got it.
There's number 9.
No, it's good to see. It is exciting. They're an exciting team. Enormous amount of pressure on the club last season, with talks that Wushu was going to be the first coach sacked, and a number of the players had big question marks over their futures. But Glass has bounced back. He's fully fit, and just the options through the midfield rotations and forward have been incredible. And it's good to see Josh Kennedy, part of the Chris Judd trade, obviously. He's developing into a star.
So Scott Cummings, 10 goals, 2. He is the best for the West Coast Eagles here at Subiaco. Peter Sumich with bags of 13 and 11, both at the whacker. So a good chance here in the last 6.5 minutes for Josh Kennedy to equal or maybe better that. Even throws the handball out. Bulldogs trying to fight on, but it's all for consolation prizes right now.
Daniel, straight up.
Gian Siracusa.
Play on.
The wide lead.
Play on.
Knocked away from Griffin. Darling toes it to the boundary. Got to be deliberate.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was.
And not enough Bulldog fans to roar for it.
No, that's right.
Wasn't a lot of people in the vicinity.
No, I don't think it was meant to go there. I think it was supposed to go up the wing further.
Right. So it's intent?
Yeah, I don't think it was his intent to kick it out of bounds.
Lacroix gives to Marston. Rolls it to Murphy. And dacked. And that's been the tale of the Dogs. They've all been metaphorically dacked here at Patterson Stadium this evening. Cox, the flick down. Ebert, the beneficiary, gang tackled and gets free somehow. Got a handball up. Lacroix, Kennedy's lurking. He's on the move and he's got it. It's a mark or downfield.
Doesn't matter.
For number 10, Josh Kennedy realises this is his moment.
That was a good mark in the end. It was free kick paid down the field, but a very good mark after the late contact here, or high over the shoulder and slammed into the ground. But juggling mark from Kennedy. Hasn't gone very far back.
It'll be a long launch from outside 50. A hush falls over Patterson Stadium. The crowd sense the moment. The stutter steps. The big long bomb. Number 10. It's a thing of beauty.
Well, here they come too.
Even Jono's liking this one.
Fantastic effort.
It is a great effort. It's been an exciting brand of football to see today.
It has.
They've gone about it. And Josh Kennedy's just rounded the day off with a monstrous bag of 10 goals and a really good display. And he's just come off the 3 or 4 little stutters and roosted that one 55.
Now chance starts as well on the back of that.
Well, you want to know the good news? We've got 5 more minutes to go.
Yeah, that's the way.
He could add to the tally yet. The crowd can sense it. It's 104 points, by the way. It's pushed out over the 100-point margin. It's more than a demolition. This is embarrassing for the Western Bulldogs. They had failed their acid test in a horrifying manner. From the ball up, Cox slaps it wide into space. Boyd floats it forward. Stack left it behind. McGinnity right with him. Taps it to Selwood. Caught high. It's the free. Down to 4.5 minutes. Has Kennedy got an 11th in him?
Well, the reaction of his teammates when he kicked his 10th, you can be sure they're going to go to him.
He's too high. He's going for this one.
He is. Long way down. Thumped away and he's hurt a finger.
Well, served himself right for being 100 metres from goal.
Back to the goal square.
And the disappointing thing for the Bulldogs, have not put anything on the scoreboard, boys. 7-3 to the Eagles to 0 to the Bullies.
Yeah, that is disastrous.
Yeah, 41 scoring shots to 12.
That is a smash,
Isn't it?
Marston have got more left. Shuey just got collared as he tried to get it away. Darling manhandled off it. Liberatore, Griffin, little slip and then an outside of the boot. Call it a pass if you like. Ward. So will they finally score We're inside 4 minutes. Takes on Hearn. Shorts the pass. Just over Schofield. Selwood in the hole. Amazing to think that the Western Bulldogs have fallen to this. McGinnity. They are a rabble. Mark taken by Moles. Hargrave, little 1-2. Takes them on. Griffin, barely seen it. That could be ball. Wrapped up and dropped it. A free for in the back. West Coast ball.
Yeah, he tried to take him on then, Ryan Griffin. He just had to do a quick handball to Ryan Hago here. Release it straight away.
Took on the tackler, didn't he?
One of the biggest recruiting what-ifs in the modern game, Ryan Griffin. They could have had Lance Franklin, the Dogs. They took Griffin ahead of him. And who knows what this club would be. Hawthorn, of course, have won a flag since getting Franklin. But there are so many what-ifs in the game. What did this West Coast Eagles team make the finals and get a home final? Ebert short. Kennedy moving. Smith takes the mark. And he takes them on, runs inside 50 and gets himself on the score sheet. Ashley Smith.
Again, stronger bodies prepared to run harder, and they've certainly been much cleaner. The kicking efficiency in this quarter alone, 75% Eagles, 42 the Western Bulldogs, and inside 50s 15-7. They're just dominated. They've got youngsters taking on experienced Bulldogs and just blowing them away at the moment, and that's 8 goals, 3 to no score for the quarter.
15 goals in the second half.
Obliterated. Murphy hasn't touched it this quarter.
Rodney Eade, there's nothing you can do now. The biggest score the West Coast Eagles have ever kicked against the Dogs is 25 goals 15. Right now they've got 24-18. They're a goal away from breaking that record, and 118 points is their biggest ever margin. Right now it's 110 points, and they've got a ton of time to get one more. Kennedy's on the move, gets there, takes the mark. If he joined us late, he's got 10. Leach, another high pluck.
Another
the ball
very good
looks over his
stretch.
head.
He might just flick off the glove.
Well, he's within
got to
range.
take it off.
He's got it right under
He
these
has.
circumstances.
Well, 10 minutes into the third term, the West Coast Eagles led by 22 points after John Syracuse goal.
Clock's still ticking here. They had time to take the glove off and work out with the umpire where the mark is. So the 20 seconds is gone, the umpire told him. Got 10 more to get the kick away before the umpire yells play on. From 55, looks good. Solid contact. It's there. 25 goals. Their record score, the West Coast Eagles against the Bulldogs.
Well, take the glove off every time. That's for sure. That's a massive kick. He's kicked that from 55, nearly 60 metres in the end.
And that's only his first goal for the game. As we said before, he's spent a lot of the game up on half forward and up on the wing. 20 disposals to 22, but that's a monstrous roost. And they're all joining in, the West Coast Eagles players, getting a part of the action.
So Lynch kicks the goal and Kennedy comes off for the last 1 minute and 26. He's done. 10 goals will do him. McCraw, Spears, half forward. Shuey, slung, that's got to be ball. Morris wraps him up. It's been one of their shining lights. Yet again, Dale Morris. The Dogs will go home with their towels between their legs. Wood plays on from half-back. Hudson, little fumble through the legs of Natanui. Shuey has been dominant. Runs to 45, gets a bump on the kick, and it's a behind. And by having a word to a few.
Yeah, Daniel Kerr's a little bit been going on there with his direct opponent in the goal square.
And for the Dogs, this last 48 seconds can't be gobbled up quickly enough. It has been an embarrassing afternoon at the office. One of their most embarrassing ever. Cross. They've conceded the biggest ever score to the West Coast. West Coast Eagles 25-19. Never kicked a bigger number against the Dogs. Wood. Some boos. Short. Hudson. Strong hands. 117 points, so they're 1 point away from their biggest ever margin. Can they get a goal in the closing seconds here to make the margin the biggest ever? It's all up to SHUEY. 8 seconds left. It's their biggest win of all time against the Dogs.
Well, the coaching staff of Western Bulldogs are shell-shocked. They've tried to run off half-back, but once again, the handball from Williams to Griffin just put Griffin under pressure, and he was tackled, disposal, turnover, and they've smashed him on the turnovers, and SHUEY's kicked another goal. He's been extremely good. 27 possessions, 5 goals, 3 for the youngster.
Can you get 2 nominations for the NAB Rising Star?
I reckon they can. He's been fantastic. 5 goals, 27 disposals. I mean, just an extraordinary effort from the young midfielder.
This crowd has got their money's worth and more at Patterson Stadium today. The West Coast Eagles are the real thing. You better believe it. 26 goals, 19, 175. They have handed the Western Bulldogs a football lesson. 8-4-52. Their highest ever score against the Dogs. Their biggest ever winning margin against the Dogs. And Josh Kennedy, an amazing day at the office. His 10 goals 3 is the highest ever score kicked by a West Coast Eagle here at Subiaco. One behind better than Scott Cummings, 10 goals 2. Let's go downstairs. Glenn Jakovic.
Thanks very much, Dwayne. Well, I got the man of the moment, 10 goals. Joshy, that must be very satisfying.
Oh, it's a great win. It's a great win.
Just tell us, I mean, the Bulldogs came over here, big expectations, but you guys are certainly the real deal now.
Oh, look, you know, we've been working on a lot of things these last few weeks, and it's been our pressure. And, you know, we didn't want to drop off. We usually started well, but sometimes we were starting to drop off a bit. So we held that pressure through the whole game, and obviously we got the result.
Your combination up forward, Quentin Lynch, another good game, Jack Darling, and Mark LeCras back to form. But your structure, you just look so potent down there.
Yeah, look, the boys are firing, and, you know, it all comes from our mids and our backs who are putting that pressure on, turning the ball over, and then it's coming back in quickly. So it's easy for us on the lead because they're putting the pressure on and it's coming back in.
I just happened to notice in the last quarter there, Mark LeCras, he wasn't trying to pass the ball to you because his 12 goals was under threat.
Yeah, well, he wanted me to go further, but he said as soon as you get any close to 12, just stop, eh?
Well done, mate. Enjoy the win. Good stuff.
10 goals 3 from Josh Kennedy. What an amazing day at the office for Josh, and we'll get the contract out for John Worsfold. There's no doubt now he deserves it, and he's downstairs with Glenn Jakovic.
Well, Woosh, I just happened to notice you're looking at the stats, but I guess you don't have to look at the stats today. The endeavour by your group of players was fantastic.
Yeah, it was an awesome effort today, and we talk a lot about not worrying too much about the scoreboard, but measuring a lot of other things, and the players are responding really well. They're demanding a new level of excellence from each other, and that maturity starting to show through.
There's so much spoken about a lot of your players, the improvement all across the board. You would assess that's a fair assessment, that it's just an even spread and everyone's contributing?
Yeah, there's no one or two things to say where's the improvement come from. It's obviously a lot of hard work. And a lot of the players demanding that they all rise up to the level that, you know, guys like Glass and EMBLEY and Cox have been leading the way for a long time, and they're demanding that those younger players start to get closer to that level.
I guess the biggest challenge for you now is to keep a lid on it. 5 and 3, people are going to say finals. What's, I guess, your directive now for the next month? The next month's very important for this football club this season. Yeah,
we play Collingwood next week, so that's the real measuring stick for us. You know, they kicked away from a young Adelaide side today. We're awesome in the last quarter, so it's a great challenge for us to take on Collingwood, and it's really going to give us an indication of how far we have come, and we're just going to be really looking forward to that challenge.
When you woke up this morning, did you see 123-point victory?
No, obviously not. It ends up being a great win, but it's only 4 points, really. And as I said, Collingwood next week is going to be the one for us to step up to. Good luck. I think they're weary and waiting for you to come. Got 'em, mate.
Oh, it's 4 points, all right, and a mountain of percentage. The West Coast Eagles by 123 points. Their biggest ever score against the Dogs. Their biggest ever margin against the Dogs. And Josh Kennedy kicking their biggest ever score individually with 10 goals 3 here at Subiaco. We'll be back to wrap up. Don't go away. You have watched with your own eyes a tide turn for two teams.